Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In places like Montana, technology really removes geography as a constraint. This extends not only to our businesses and our schools, but of course to first responders as well. This is especially important in states like Montana and states like Corey and Colorado, where we have significant rural areas. First responders can be 50 miles or more away from an accident. So the goal here, I understand, is to provide coverage in 99% of the country. As we've seen with mobile wireless coverage, the remaining 1% of the country often includes places like Montana. Mr. Poth, tell me about the future plans, if any, to eventually cover that 1% of the country.
We hope to expect 100% coverage is probably a very steep mountain to climb, no pun intended. With the coverage that's required, we're really expecting industry to come back and the technology to evolve to where deployables, satellite technology, and those types of things will enable public safety, especially in remote areas, to still maintain connectivity. The goal of getting to 100% coverage throughout the 56 states and territories, I think is going to be a pretty aggressive goal.
You know, related to the issue of technology, and I spend a lot of years in the technology business where it moves at the speed of business versus the speed of government. As you think about the future of where it's headed, how will you keep up at FirstNet as it relates to when technology changes? About the time the project's completed, I'm guessing technology will be well ahead of where you end.
Right, and that's one of the big focuses and basic tenets of us as an independent authority. We are going to continue to grow, and we are going to continue to push technology. The mention of our labs in Boulder, we are going to be advancing and trying to push public safety innovation and technology for years to grow. And with the NIST lab also focused on that, we believe that we're going to be able to optimize the benefits to public safety of what's available. If you can envision, we don't even know what technology is going to be like in 10 years. I often think people say, well, you know, your Android or your iPhones, that was the cutting edge technology, because it is going to go so fast. We're going to have in the contract the ability to grow and push the technology as it goes from 3G, 4G to 5G and grow with it. And we're going to have the organization in place to remain the advocates and stewards for public safety with our partner so that they don't lose focus on what's important.
We heard today that FirstNet plans to use fees generated from densely populated areas to help fund the build-out in more rural areas. We've had similar funding programs like the Universal Service Fund in place since the 90s, and we still haven't achieved universal service. How is FirstNet's plan different, and why is your plan going to succeed when others haven't?
We have a pretty focused mandate and mission. Is to serve public safety regardless of jurisdiction, regardless of state. And so that's one of our driving forces. The other thing that we're going to do is we are going to remain responsible and accountable to public safety. They're not going to let us allow for anything less than that. And our independent board that oversees FirstNet is also going to ensure for years to come that we don't lose focus on what the investments and what the priorities are.
As you can imagine, the broadband and the wireless coverage that we do have in Montana is often provided by our rural telecom providers. So certainly I appreciate the requirement that the prime contractor partner with these rural companies. But it's still unclear to me what accountability measures FirstNet has in place to ensure that these partnerships happen with these rural telco providers. So maybe you could elaborate what plan FirstNet has in place to ensure that the prime contractors follows through in its commitment to partner with our rural providers.
Once we have the bids that are submitted in and evaluated and we get to a contract award, we are going to have specific milestones both on the rural partnership participation and the coverage. Then those milestones become measurable that we are going to enforce, and we try to incentivize through the contract the right behavior, but there are disincentives to ensure that our commercial partner is achieving the coverage and the cost controls measures that we've asked for.
Now, I understand that the selling excess network capacity is key to paying for the network. How will FirstNet ensure that selling this capacity does not end up competing with our existing providers?
We believe with the infusion of the new spectrum and the needs of spectrum throughout the country and all different bands, we think that there's going to be sufficient demand on all the spectrums where we don't believe that'll be necessarily a competition or a takeaway for those providers.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Both. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.